Hey everyone, it's Nightlight9, and in this video we're going to go through the new banner with Barret and Aerith. And I'm going to start out by saying I am super excited about this banner, but not for the reason that I'm normally excited about a banner. In fact, I'm excited about this because ultimately I think this is a kind of a trash banner. So that's exciting to me because, as you can see, I only have about 8,600 crystals. I've been saving them up ever since pulling on the first banner with Tifa, and also going back and doing that FF9 pull. I was, really worried that whatever the next banner was going to be a total banger, and I was going to miss out on a lot. Turns out I'm not missing out on much, but let's go ahead and go through it. So first, I'll start out with what I think the pros of the banner are. And I will start by saying that Aerith's costume is amazing. It is truly amazing. It looks beautiful. I love the white. They've put a lot of attention to detail in here. I can't really say anything negative about the costume as far as how it looks. I think it's up there with the best looking costumes in the game right now. And as far as abilities go, it's good. Ice Mastery is good. It's not Arcanum. And, I can tell you again from my previous experience getting Sephiroth's Wind Mastery, it's usable and it's good, but it's still missing 15% off the top from stuff that, we really like to go for. So for that, I'm going to say, assuming that you probably have either Sephiroth or Tifa already for ice damage, we've got a lot of ice. I don't think that this is a must pull unless you just love the way the costume looks. And if you do, well, I understand that. The weapon here, Snowflake, it's pretty good. The fact that it goes up to, at max, let's look at OB6 because that's more realistic for most of the people I think who are watching these. Magic defense decrease, potency mid, that's pretty good with the 480% ice elemental magic damage attack. That's good. The magic attack boost, also good. Boost ice potency, also good. Attack boost here, I don't really care for. This all cure spells here, okay, this is actually strong. I think this is strong. Cure spells target all, very strong. Cure spell restoration amount, minus 40%. Basically it turns a Cura into a Curaga, more or less, right? You lose some potency, but it hits everybody. So I guess with this weapon, you would feel maybe less like you have to equip Fairy Tail. I think that's what they're trying to do. And I guess with this weapon, you could make her like a healer secondary damage dealer if that's something you're interested in. Personally, I'm not interested in that. And it's the same reason that I didn't pull on her wind weapon, a few banners back. I like her for buffing and healing. I don't really like the idea of a healer being a secondary damage dealer, if at all possible. I feel like a lot of times if that's what I'm doing, it's probably because I'm plenty strong enough for the content. So I don't really need, buffs or even that much heal because again, this move takes 4 ATB to cast. So, it's going to fight with spells like Curaga. And although you can use a Cura, you're fighting over ATB. So it's not my favorite. I don't think it's terrible, but it's not the way I'm setting Aerith up. If you were, if you have her wind weapon, for example, and if you want to try to set her up as, this hybrid healer and secondary damage dealer, or even, I guess, maybe like your third damage dealer. I don't know. It just depends how you're building Aerith and what your team is doing currently. But for me, it's a pass. Although not a terrible weapon. But Barret, I am so disappointed in the Barret weapon. Barret hasn't gotten a lot of love. I was talking about that in a recent video. And this here doesn't do it for me whatsoever. To be frank, I think it's lazy. Magic attack increase, we've seen this before. It doesn't do damage with it. It's just a pure buff ability. It takes 4 ATB. Not what I'm really going for here. I guess it also adds regen and a small heal. But to me, a lot of Barret stuff to me is debuff based. He's kind of like a Tifa in that regard. This is not really what I'm excited about for him. OB6, it goes to high. I think that's about where you'd really want it to be to make it really worth it. If you watched my testing on Aonibi with Sephiroth, then I think that'll make a little bit more sense. Looking at the materia slots, again, it gives the same thing that Aerith gives. So this is probably the first weapon that could set him up to be a healer and, I guess, buffer. So for that reason, it makes a little bit more sense from that angle. But again, depending on how hard the content is, do you have the ATB to constantly be doing this? And if you did have ATB to do a buff, are you wanting that buff to be a magic attack increase buff rather than a physical defense or magic defense buff? For me personally, most of the time, I'd rather have the defensive buff on a healer. I think it makes a little bit more sense than trying to, buff attack damage with somebody who's also going to be set up to do heals. I guess it could make him a secondary healer if that becomes a thing. So that is something also to consider. Right now, I don't think we've really, had much content that was built around survivability being the main mechanic. And the reason I say main mechanic is it feels like most of the high difficulty stuff in this game, the way that the devs have chosen to ramp up the difficulty is by giving us a DPS race. So usually if there is a survival aspect, that comes in early, but then later it doesn't even matter because you can survive all you want, but eventually the boss just starts one-shotting people or one-shotting the whole party or just doing so much damage, so quickly that you can't keep up with it. So for that, I don't think 2 healers is going to be the new meta. I mean, it could be, right? But right now, from what we're seeing, what they like to do, that is not the case. And so I really don't like this weapon. Boost fire resist. That makes it even more niche. I think the fact that they were going for this on him, like with these abilities to make him be able to essentially do a Curaga and also be able to buff and then boost heal here, why not give it like boost HP or something? Something useful, just well-rounded. I don't like it. This is another reason I'm just not pulling on this. I also think it's very lazy to not give him a costume on this banner. I don't understand why you put 2 weapons, 1 costume. I don't like it. I don't like anything about it. And the last thing I want to say on this is that I don't like putting weapons on a banner just to make people feel like they need them to clear the most recent content. That has been the MO of the devs in this game since launch, right? Let's go ahead and release weapons that are specifically good for the content they're facing right now. I think that we could use some more just generally good weapons. That's what I liked about the FF9 weapons, because although they were good for the content that was at hand, they are also generally good. The buffs on them, the R abilities, they all went together. And when we look at things like micro laser here, like this boost fire resist just feels so much like it was catered just for this content, and they needed to throw something else in to have people want to pull on this banner. Ultimately, I don't like it. I think it's a pass. I would like to know your thoughts though. If you found this video helpful, subscribe for future content. I appreciate everybody's support, and as always, thanks for watching.